Who is a political prisoner? This is the question that has been asked severally for the time that Agora has run this campaign about freeing political prisoners in Uganda. The United Nations has defined a number of things over the years, but one of the things that they've left undefined and vaguely defined whenever they attempted to is the question of who a political prisoner is. And their definition is quite simple. It simply says, a political prisoner is a person who is imprisoned or jailed for their political belief, activities, or affiliation rather than for committing a criminal offense. But they also add that sometimes political prisoners are jailed ostensibly for committing criminal offenses, say murder, say theft, say rape, as a cover for holding them in jail. In the past, Dr. Kizza Besigye, for instance, was charged with rape and arrested and spent time in jail. But there was no conviction. In fact, the judge said that case was scandalous as he released him later. Uganda has had a long history of dealing with political prisoners. On the 28th of January 1971, Uganda's military leader, Idi Amin Dada, organized a huge ceremony at Kololo Independence Grounds. And while there, buses came, and those buses carried 55 people, 5 of whom were former ministers, jailed from as far back as February 22nd, 1966. These people were released. There was also a sister of the Kabaka among those who were released, and there was a former Prime Minister, Benedicto Chiwanuka, who, interestingly, Amin later is said to have killed, but that's a story for another day. In 1985, the Tito Okello Lutwa government released 1,200 political prisoners. We don't know the names, there's no record for that. There was no ceremony, but they said they did release them. Similarly, if you took the case of Olivia Lutaya, the Olivia Lutayas were in jail since May 2021. Most of them regained their freedom, but it was not because the court found them not guilty. It is just that the court, having dragged its feet forever, the state, through some of its people, stepped in and negotiated a settlement with them where they pleaded guilty and were released. Of course, 9 of them, including Machete Yasin Sechitoriko, didn't take that offer and they still remain in jail. Let's talk about the case of the Segrinyas. They were in jail for such a long time, years and years. But when they were released, we saw statements of people saying, I negotiated their release. So many times, when political prisoners are released, it is a negotiated settlement. Because most times, there is no evidence to convict them, and the state knows this. So, to understand who a political prisoner is complex. We'll take each case on its own basis. Sometimes, and most times, you just have to look beyond the case of the person charged and know who they were before they were imprisoned. And you can tell that this person, most likely, is a political prisoner. And most times, if those people were picked up and you know that they were opposed to the government and they held for so long without conviction, most times it turns out that they are political prisoners. Thank you, and see you on the next video.